There he is.
Charlie Carbs and Cycling.
A race, Norwood Club Championships it was. I was in the consolation race, which is basically C to E grade. You can see we've got a bit of a neutral rollout. I'm just rolling out at the front. Want to make sure I had a good position. It wasn't really that tiring because we're drafting a car. But yeah, it was a good race. Really enjoyed it. A bit of hills here or there, but mainly flat. Two thirds flat, 1/3 climbs. I did some attacks and got an alright result in the end. So you can see we're just rolling out behind the neutral car, which was pretty cool. I thought there'd be a bit more competition for positions, to be honest. But there didn't seem to be. So anyway, we skip ahead. The first lap, nothing really happened. A couple people attacked, nothing crazy. So this is the second time up the hill. I've missed the main part of the hill, which is the sprint finish, because nothing really happened. But we're basically, there's this second part, which is probably like a 1 to 2 minute effort here. And I'm just sort of cruising along like, this is quite easy. I think I'm going to attack, because I thought on the flat, if we got a good group of 4 or 5 away, we'd probably be able to do it. So I was like, all right, I'll attack and hopefully put some people into difficulty. I ended up dropping about 20, probably 10 to people or so who got dropped after my acceleration, which is sort of what I want to do. I didn't want that many people being there. But anyway, was it good use of energy? I'm not really sure, because it's always questionable if brakes ever go on this. But anyway, so you can see we're cruising up here, pretty chill, to be honest, all sub-threshold, all like 280, 300, not really anything too crazy, to be honest. At a 5% gradient, we're going 23 k's an hour, so we're hardly absolutely lighting up. Anyway, I'm like, right, let's go hit at 800 watts, get some good cadence, change up a gear, and then light it up again. The guy in the yellow basically follows my wheel. He's getting a decent draft because it's like 4%. He comes around me and then just absolutely drills it so hard. And I was crying so much on the back. This actually hurt so much. I genuinely almost thought I might get dropped at this part because he was just going so hard. Like, really hard. You can see it, like, 9% gradient, 24 k's an hour. We fucking fly past these people like they're going standing still. There's my mate, Phil. Well, up to 198 heart rate, max is 201. We actually hit my max. So he goes over the top of this after absolutely drilling it so hard. So we get up to 201. Then he picks his elbow, like, mate, you want to pull a turn? I'm like, I'm fucking dying. Like, I would if I could, but I can't pull a turn. I'm just like dying on the back. Anyway, I'm like, all right, I'll just have to pull the weakest turn possible. So you can see we come around here. I actually surprisingly don't do a too bad turn, but I'm like 199 beats a minute. I'm pretty much at my max. Just like, I'm basically trying to pull a turn just so that he doesn't like think I'm just going to wait at the back and then try and pull away a little bit. So over the top, that's the most important time. We can gain a lot of time if you do a decent pull. So you can see here, I'm pulling for quite a long time, but I'm only doing like 250, 260 watts because I'm trying to get the heart rate down. You can see I'm doing 400 watts here. I was struggling quite a bit here. I was like, this guy looks really strong. It's always a bit intimidating in a break sometimes when it's just like you and one other person, because if they seem strong and pull through really hard, then it's quite hard. So anyway, skip this bit. Around the corner, he does some dodge cornering. Looks like he's gapped me, then he can't go across the line, sort of like brakes loads, and I lose a bit of time, but nothing too crazy. And then this is basically a block headwind and really, really horrible. And I seem to, unfortunately, be stuck on the front when it wasn't going uphill, and then he'd come round on the uphills and just rip it, and I was just like crying on the back. So you can see here we're swapping off turns, trying to hit hold about 330 to 360 watts, and we got up to a 40-second gap around now. So we had 40 seconds up on the main field, so I was like, wow, this is pretty good. Like, obviously I didn't know that at the time, I just checked that on the Strava flybys, but this is pretty good, like, you're getting a 40-second gap, and then you'll see in a bit that 2 guys basically end up bridging across because they're interested, and then another guy also bridges across solo when it was about like a 15-second gap, and then I thought, all right, that's it, 5-6 guys, and hopefully the gap would have gone out, but unfortunately there was a a good chase from behind. So you can see we're still swapping off turns. This is, I believe, is just when we get caught. We had like a neutral people in behind us, which is, I was like, fuck, we must have a gap over like 30 seconds. Like, this must be decent. So there you can see, there's my friend Louis, there's a guy called Connor, and then there's the old breakaway mate. I'm not sure what your name is, sorry. But you can see we're now swapping turns on, and we got 4 guys now. So I'm thinking, like, right, this is good. We can all swap really hard turns. Just do short turns at the beginning, just to really try and keep the break going. Unfortunately, everyone did a couple turns which were a bit too long and not really high enough intensity. You want to be pulling turns at like 350 for 400 watts for like 20, 30 seconds and then just pull off. But these guys are doing more like sort of 40-second to a minute turns, and it just means you can't keep the same power. This guy got really keen. He launched it up quite a lot. Some of his pulls are a bit questionable just because he like go from like 40 k's an hour, and at the end he'd be pulling out 37. It's like, if you've noticed you're like slowing down a bit, your power's going down, just flick your elbow, come off. It doesn't matter if you're not that strong, just do your turn on the front to try and just keep at the speed, as much speed as possible. So you can see we're now down to like 37 k's an hour with like the same wind, same duration. So he has just suffered a bit. You see my watts on the wheel have definitely gone down since he took over. So we're now down to 35 k's an hour. All right, I'm gonna have to like, come around you, because now like if you're really struggling, just like flick the elbow and be like, yeah, I'm all right. Or if you are really strong, then yeah, I guess do this. But I mean, I don't think it was that wise to really spend that much long at the turn on the front, because it seemed like we was losing a bit of speed. But I guess if that's what you want to do, that's what you want to do. So I then bring the speed, trying to bring the speed back up to sort of 39, 40 k's an hour. My power was absolutely shocking. My power was literally like zooming all over the place. For this break, it was like 20 minutes. Average power was like 280 watts. Normalized about 305. So that's pretty tough for me. Like, that's pretty hard, like especially during a race. I was quite cooked. At the end, I was starting to feel a bit better because we could swap more turns. But in that break, there was just like on the flat road into a headwind, it was just horrible swapping turns. So you can see here, I'm holding 360, 370. I'm just really trying to do a good effort. Flick my elbow out, drop to the sides, and let the lads come through and pull solid turns. There's Louis doing his turn. It's good if you just try and get a bit more aero. Everyone's quite sat upright, which I don't think is necessarily the best thing because you just won't go as fast. It's better just to be more aero. So here you can see again, I'm coming around and trying to do a solid turn. We had a bit of a tailwind, that's why we're up to 45 k's an hour, but we weren't really pulling very strong turns. Like it's sort of, when you're in a pace line, you think it does, but in reality, we weren't really pulling strong enough turns, and the guys from behind were chasing relatively hard to try and pull us back, which was a shame. So you can see here, I'm doing like 390 on the front. This is, you can see the heart rate's down quite a lot, 180, because we now had 5 people in the break, and that definitely gave us quite a lot of chance to rest. But that's when you really got to be pulling hard turns to just try and get away, because as soon as you're out of sight, then it's good. But the problem is that on this long straight road, they could see us, but before, when it was just me and the other guy, we were out of sight apparently. So you can see here, we're just coming up to the final corner on the left, which is very sketchy. I would say view my race footage, but unfortunately that video has been taken down like the whole of my channel. But anyway, we're not bitter about that at all. So anyway, you can see we takes this left hand corner. I remember telling it was fucking shit. It was the fucking sketchiest corner ever. Like I took that corner so badly every time I did it, I think. But unfortunately, the GoPro doesn't run out of battery at the top of this hill, which is really dumb from my part. It was quite a long race. Didn't really think about it. So we've got some other interesting ways of trying to portray what happened in the race. But on this guy, like on the climbs, I was like, don't go too hard, because if we drop the heavier guys, they're going to get us the win on the flats and fucking drill it. Like you sort of need to go slightly slower on the climbs, just so that the bigger guys can like keep up, and then just absolutely rip it on the flat. That would be my tip. Like obviously you don't want to fucking dawdle up the climb, but you don't want to just rip it. Like if I went full gas up this climb, I'd probably drop like two or three people on the climb, because we already know that, because when we attacked, only me and the other guy could go with it on the climb. So obviously it doesn't make sense to go full gas on the climb, because then there'll be 2 guys left and we're not going to solo the thing. Anyway, about this point I got told like, they're catching us, just sit up, there's no point. But in reality, what we should have done is sat up for like a little bit, maybe like 10-15 seconds, and then launch it again, because they would have just chased. So the guy on the front, I'm not chasing, and everyone else would have been like, I've done some work, I don't want to chase. But anyway, you can see we're coming into the last lap here on the flyby. I am the black. You can see my friend Phil's on the front, so I'm pretty near the back, literally last wheel around this corner. And you'll see I just basically keep moving up. So I'm holding about 400 watts now, and I just keep moving up all the way. So you can see people are getting dropped. The guy in purple, he eventually wins. He flies off the front. He just did a real strong turn, and just zoom. But you can see I keep moving up, I was just like sort of pacing on my own, just keep on trying to get towards the front. And you can see here, I'm now basically on the front. I was behind 2 guys, and then at the very end I managed to sprint past one of them. I sort of blocked on the road, which is a bit annoying. I probably could have got second, maybe. I should have just sprinted earlier, realistically. I sort of said I was blocked, but I should have sprinted before the other guys, and maybe I would have got it. But anyway, you can see here, the guy in the front wins, and I managed to cop a third. And we'll just have some footage after this that was shot from my friends who were there. So this guy on the front absolutely drills it. He's miles ahead. Then you can see me just coming on the right hand side. This is the rest of the bunch, and I sort of got boxed between these 2 guys, and managed to roll one guy on the line. So anyway, there you go. Cheers for watching. I'll leave the Strava links and everything else in the description below, and I'll see you in the next vid.
'Cause while you decide, I'm stuck here suffocating. You can't find the time. My bleeding heart will make